Well, hello Elaine. Welcome to our fourth podcast. Time travels quickly, doesn't it?
Hello, Tamara. It certainly does, and it's great to be back with you and our guests.
100%. Well, today we've got a bit of can be seen maybe as a little bit of a boring topic, but I actually think it's quite exciting. We're going to be talking about end of financial year and taking a bit of a holistic approach to not only looking at your financial side of things, but also looking at you and your business, how you're going halfway through the year.
I think it's a perfect opportunity as we approach June 30. It's a great time of the year. It's my birthday, actually.
It is. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Tam. But no, look, I think it's really important. I think sometimes people think that the end of the year, a calendar year, is the right time to reassess. But I think from a business perspective, it's certainly great to look at it midway through the year.
100%. And obviously, midway through the year, we've got all the financials coming to an end, our to do our tax and all those sort of things. So it's a great time to look at your figures. But I think it's also a great time to be planning for the next sort of year ahead and looking at how you're going halfway through so that calendar year. So
Yeah.
We've put together a bit of a top 10 today, haven't we?
We have certainly done that, and I think it's quite beneficial for all business owners, really. And I think off the back of this, we've also got a checklist that we're going to release, which
Yes,
we'll talk
100%.
about a bit later.
I might just give everyone the how to get that checklist so that you've got that there. It's if you jump onto our website, go to businessbydesign.net.au and then /EOFY checklist. You can download that checklist. It's a free checklist and it'll help you work through the financial year side of things and also plan for the future.
Awesome. Let's jump straight in, Tam.
Fantastic.
So leading the list, our top 10 list of things to review and look at the end of financial year, I think what better way to start off than looking at your financials and setting up a time to catch up with your accountant. I think most businesses may or may not do that, but I know from our experience we did that on a regular basis. And looking at and reviewing your profit and loss, and I think it's really important to look on where you've come from and where you're heading. Would you agree, Tam?
100%. I think it's also having a good understanding of your financials. A lot of people will be using, no doubt, Xero or QuickBooks or something like that, and you can fairly easily download your end of financial year statements with your profit and loss and your balance sheet. But then it's another thing is how to review it. So I think it's great for you to pull it out yourself and have a look, but I think you'll agree it's great to get an accountant's perspective, and we would do it on a quarterly basis. We had quite a large business, so I think it was really important to do that. You don't want to wait all year to do it, but definitely at the end of the year, get your accountant to go over it, and they might pick up some things that you haven't noticed or realised too, in terms of costs getting a bit out of control in certain areas, or at least being able to analyse those.
Yeah, I remember taking myself back to when we were in business, and I would every month jump in and look at the profit and loss, and I 100% agree with you. Some things you might not pick up on in that, and I think I did used to compare where we've been in the previous months, and I always found that once we did catch up with Craig on a quarterly basis, it was great to actually dive deeper into those figures and understand them and look at what's ahead for the future.
I think it's also good whether you look year on year at things, which is obviously what we're suggesting here, but it's also good to get an idea on month, so same month this time last year as well. I think that can be a handy sort of checklist along the way, so to speak. So
fantastic. So moving on, we've got our second one there, and this was probably something I was...
This is a you one.
This is certainly a me one. Looking at all of your subscriptions and doing an audit, and it was quite lethargic, I thought. Is that the right word?
Yes.
But
what did you say?
Cathartic. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was certainly a cathartic moment to actually go back through and because I think when you do have a lot of subscriptions, and they're all set up on a direct debit basis, you kind of lose track of where things are at. And I think it's important to have a look at them and put them in a spreadsheet, and then look at where you can cut some costs, and some of your subscriptions like photocopying and things like that might be due for renewal, and obviously looking at how you can get a better deal.
And obviously your suppliers as well. The subscriptions is obviously to do often with your software, and it could be magazines and things like that. But even like I noticed on mine, I haven't fixed it yet, but I think I've got 2 Apple things coming out of my account, and I'm sure I've doubled up there. I mean, it might only be $6 or whatever a month, but all those things add up over a year, and some of them are hundreds of dollars a month.
But there's also some things that you may not necessarily use anymore, because obviously as we move through our business, we had new softwares coming and going, and we would move with the times, and some of them we didn't use anymore. So closing them off, but more importantly, looking at how we can get a better deal or bang for buck, I suppose. So,
and I think the other thing is also looking at your apps. Sometimes I think you can go into your phone and check your subscriptions. Sometimes you've got annual subscriptions coming out on your phone, and you don't even know you've signed up for half these things.
Some of them you jump on and you go for a free trial, and then you forget that it's going to start charging you.
But also your suppliers, I think, is a good one as well, which is one of the things you used to do quite regularly, is going back and seeing if you can renegotiate with them. For us, in the real estate game, it was often our tradespeople and things like that, but there'll be different suppliers for different businesses. So can they help you out in any way, whether it's or are you happy with your suppliers? Do you need to look to renew different ones, go with different people?
And look, if you can save some money, then you can invest that money into other areas of your business. So I think we did that well, but I think now more than ever, the end of financial year is a perfect time and a perfect opportunity to do those sorts of things.
Yeah, 100%. The third one that we want you to have a look at and a bit of a think about is a bit of a risk assessment on your business, and particularly when it comes to software and technology. We at different times had issues, nothing that ended up too major, but very, very early on we were had some of our photos and things hacked for condition reports and things like that at one point. This was a while ago, and we were able to get most of it back, but you hear a lot of businesses where they're hacked and they can't get things back. So I think it's really important to make sure you've got your 2-factor authentication on all of your software, particularly where you've got people's data and things like that. Personal information in there. Make sure your staff are changing their passwords regularly. And the other thing that we had through our insurance broker was they recommended, which we did, was the cyber insurance in case you do get hacked, and you need to call on that insurance to try and get your data and things back, because it can be very expensive.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and now more than ever, that's, as I'm sure many of our listeners understand, we've had some pretty big corporate entities that have actually been hit pretty hard, and I think personal information and data, we take for granted that the amount of data that companies hold. So I 100% feel that this is a big one, and one that's really come to light in the last probably 12 months. And also noting that with your softwares, they do updates regularly, and I'm sure you all get flooded with emails on updates and recommendations, and making sure that the 2-step authentication is across your business with all of your staff. As an example for us, we had a lot of staff that had access to things at home and on their laptops, so ensuring that was all set up correctly. And
also that your software companies have the right sort of things in place, and they're advising you, and you've got the latest update of their software and things like that. I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would hate to think, like we had a lot of clients' information. So making sure that the company that you're with is the best company and does deliver on that level. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. So I think looking at the 4th one, this is something that we did quite a fair bit. I think you need to do it on a regular basis to tap in every quarter, but looking at your goals from last year, hopefully you've written down what you're wanting to achieve. And I know some smaller businesses or home businesses, Sometimes you may not have done this necessarily, but also sometimes bigger businesses don't do it. So it's really important to plan, have the goals written down, and then actually review what you wanted to achieve, and then look back at it and see, did you achieve it? Why did you achieve it, or why didn't you achieve it?
Couldn't agree more. And so often we looked, because we did this with our staff as well, setting goals. And I remember pulling the boxes out sometimes when you and I had set some goals, and we'd be like, oh, did we do that? Yes, we did that.
Oh, you could explain pulling out the boxes. So,
well, it was one of our planning days. I think we made our team put in a sealed envelope in a sealed box, and we put it away, and we had them set the goals and then wanted to revisit to see if they'd achieved it. So that is what I mean by pulling out the boxes. But look, I think too, through that process is celebrating your wins. Like, we work so hard, and I think you can miss some of those opportunities when you're in the moment, and just how big that achievement is. So the importance of recognizing that, and I feel like that gives you more energy to take your business to the next level. So
100%, and also for your staff, if you've got staff, they've been working hard to help you and the business achieve those goals. They might have had their own goals, and to see that, well, there is some sort of reward or celebration of hitting those targets.
And I think you did that well. I know that back when we would celebrate the wins of the staff, if we'd leave a nice little card on their desk or something, and I think it was just really well received. And,
or take them out for drinks, or have morning tea, or
actually
different things. We went to Sydney one year when we had a really big goal.
We did, and do you remember the excitement? Because I think what we did for that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had helium balloons, and we tied the balloons to all of their chairs. Is that
that sounds familiar.
And so we went in the night before, set it all up, and made a big deal about it, because as a team we hit a major goal, and then the team all got to
we flew them up to Sydney
and have a day on the water on this beautiful yacht, and
it's fantastic.
But they're important milestones. So
and they still talk about some of those sort of events we do. So it was special for them.
Also on the learning side, the mistakes. I think that's something you can't forget. Like it's great to have the wins, but what about when you're not sailing too well, Tam? I think looking at, okay, what do I need to do, and reset, regroup, and then move forward.
100%. You've got to learn. I think there's no regrets. Well, my philosophy is no regrets in life. You've got to learn from those challenging times, or those little mistakes that you make, or big mistakes that you make along the way, and that's what makes you grow. So it's really important to acknowledge those, and then say, well, how am I not going to do that again? All right. Next one, number 5. Well, I think we sort of touched on this a little bit, but planning what you'd like to achieve for the year ahead, and looking at your goals, and then what additional staff that you would need for that. And that's something that we often did, particularly in the property management department.
I think just in general, as a business, you and I would take a day out, and we'd go and remove ourselves and look at what we needed for growth, and then with growth comes procedures and all of that. So we used to do that quite regularly, but absolutely, why more not than ever at the end of financial year for a fresh start.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. It's yes, the one thing to want to achieve something in the next 12 months, but how does that change your staffing needs, your structures, your technology, all those things that go with that growth.
And then obviously these few sort of flow into each other, don't they, Tam? Your planning day. Looking at
maybe explain what a planning day is for those that don't know.
Do you know what, we actually cover this really well in our 8-week boot camp that
we do,
for our listeners. But a planning day is when you really set yourself up, we used to take ourselves out and really sit down and look at what we would like to do with our team together. And that's okay if you don't have a team, you can do it one-on-one, but remove yourself from the office and look at planning what you would like to see in your business, but listening to your team as well. I think it's really important.
I think that's something we did well, and planning days are great for, is giving your team a little task or a little topic to come and present to the rest of the business. And we often got some of our best ideas from these staff planning days where they'd say, oh, we think we should do this or this or that, or this process isn't working quite so well. Can we, improve by doing this? And that's how each year we would chip away at improving those processes. So we became more efficient, better customer service, and happier staff. I think those planning days, which we do cover quite well in the boot camp, are some of the best days. And yes, you can do it. If you're just a one man or one woman band, you can definitely do these planning days by yourself. It's just having a clear structure of what you want to achieve, but getting out of the business, I think, is really important for a day.
Because you get so caught up in the business day to day that you especially if you're really thick in the business working hard, you lose sight of things. So it's definitely important and a great opportunity to take yourself out, go to a nice winery, spend the day.
Oh, that sounds good.
Or somewhere down, the beach, or I don't know, somewhere where you can just relax, but then really not be interrupted, and think about something that's really out of the box for your team and your business. So
that was probably one of the things that we did best, and one of the biggest differences that we could make in our business was having those regular planning days. We'd have at least one a year, sometimes two, and they can take all different formats, but I think they're fantastic.
Yeah. This is one that we used to do as well, Tam. Yeah. Surveying our customers.
Oh, yes.
I think the best way to learn how you're tracking and travelling with your clients is to survey them. Send out a questionnaire and wait for the feedback to roll on in.
Yeah.
And I think even if it's negative, I think that's how you learn and you grow. So,
well, I think you're not going to learn from so much the positive feedback, are you? You are going to learn from the people that say something negative or have an idea, and you want to encourage that feedback. And I think you would rather that feedback, potentially negative feedback, in that format, than jumping onto Google and putting a Google review up about some terrible experience. Yeah. So you'd much rather sort of manage that and then try and improve with those surveys. And again, this is something that we cover in quite detail in our boot camp, but it's I think really integral, and they don't need to be complex, because you don't want them too complex, people won't fill them in. But
no, and it can be just a rating us from 1 to 5 or whatever, but I think you did hit the nail on the head there. If there's your process isn't working, you'll get a quick indication from the surveys, and where you're lacking, and it'll allow you the opportunity to tweak things, so then you can tick that box and move on and really deliver on the service.
I think the other big thing is you spend all this time and money trying to grow your business. It seems counterintuitive to me to be going through trying to get growth in your business if you've got business going out the back door, because you're not looking after your current clients, or you're not getting those repeat clients, depending on your sort of style of business. So yeah, definitely those surveys.
Yeah. So
yes, social media audits, number 8 on our list. Looking at have a look at your social media. So jump onto Instagram, Facebook, whether you're using Pinterest or different things. Have a look at it. Try and step back a little bit. How's it looking? What feedback you're getting? Much interaction on them. And I think also to have a look at what some of your opposition are doing. How's theirs looking? How does yours compare to that? You don't want to look the same, but are you getting the same sort of interaction? And then maybe getting a professional to have a little look at it, or getting some friends or family that are quite into social media to maybe give you a bit of feedback as well.
I think that's a great one, Tam, because sometimes we can be too close to too in the thick of it again in your business, and you might think you're doing a fantastic job, but then when you start to look at other people, you can see that maybe I'm not as polished, or maybe oh wow, okay, there's not only that, but reels have become more popular, and we're constantly changing. So really looking at, okay, what can I do better? I need to tweak things to make it more exciting, so that we do stand out 100%. From our competitors. And otherwise, if you're same.
Well, I think you just said something there that's really important too. Like within a 12-month period, technology and what's trending changes so much. Yeah. You need to be doing this at least every 12 months. And I would say a lot of the experts in social media would say a lot more often than that. But obviously running a business, you've got a lot of things to do. I think at least every 12 months, a fairly good audit of your socials, and
You might like to engage the young teenagers. They're probably way
Yeah.
across all of that sort of stuff.
Just watch the language.
And TikTok, whoa, that's just another level, isn't it?
You're making us sound old.
No. Just young, just young Tam. Wait for our TikTok release. Okay? Moving on to our second last one, Tam. Self-assessment. I think this is something we were, again, I hate pumping up our own tyres here, but I think we were quite good at this and reviewing how we were in ourselves, how we were feeling in our business.
I think one of the things, if I could just say too, because being business partners too, we would check in on each other a lot, particularly obviously during COVID and things. If people are standalone business owners, sometimes they don't have that benefit of having that business partner, so it's even more important.
It's a great
to check in on yourself, because if I was a bit flat or you were, I could sort of tell, and I would ask you. Often your staff don't ask you how you're going.
No, that's right. And I think you constantly the mother or the welfare
guru
for for us it was 30 staff. Like, that's hard, and some days I know that we're challenging more so than others, but I couldn't agree more. I think you and I both found COVID hard. So I think if you were a sole director and doing it solo, and I think it's important that you have some outlet or someone that, whoever that may be, that you can tap into, because if you're flat, your team's going to pick up on it, and
100%.
Your team's flat. So,
and I think it's not just work, because often, you want to have at least, from thinking, you want to have at least your home life or your work life, at least one of them going fairly well, so that you can cope with the other one when it's not going so well. And there can be challenging times at different times of family. Sometimes you've got challenging teenagers or difficult children or whatever, or relationship issues, whatever. You want to then try and get those sort of things on track. And what do you need to be doing? What do you need to be doing outside your business to have you feeling in a good space? And it could be finding a hobby, could be yoga, meditation, could be taking the family on a holiday, or you might be a runner, whatever those things are that fill your cup up, making sure that you're prioritising those, because if your cup's empty, you're not going to be good for your family, and you're certainly not going to be good for your employees and your business.
I actually said that to my daughter yesterday, Tam. You can't always say yes to everyone, and if it's okay to say no and give yourself the opportunity to have some downtime and fill your cup up. And I feel like it's with the pressures and the stress of staff and a business, sometimes unfortunately we can go home and if we've had a bad day, we can certainly take it out on our family members at home. So I think ensuring that there definitely is that work-life balance to eliminate that those situations, and to be the best version of yourself when you're on the home watch. So I think, now you and I have certainly done that. We've got yoga and walking, and, we're just, I think, more balanced.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's also those other things, if you look at your next 12 months ahead, looking at what does my, for me, I think I said this in another podcast, got myself a cleaner at home and things like that. What are the little things that you can do to make your life easier, so that you're not then on your day off running around, cleaning the house and then sort of resenting the fact that you're doing it. So, if you're in that position, or maybe that's a goal, get to that position, then I'll put that person on to help me, whatever that might be, whether it's a PA in your business or whether it's a cleaner at home. It's sort of a bit of a reward for you.
But it might just be taking, an hour out of your day to sit down and listen to your favourite podcast.
Like this one.
Absolutely. Or it might be, going and getting that massage and not putting it off. So, yeah. I think,
Elaine.
Yes. Well, I did have one actually a couple of weeks ago. The best one and only I've had in a long time. But, and then I think lastly, what will you do if you hit the quarterly or annual goals? And we did touch on this earlier, but I think it's vital in business to celebrate your success. And again, we did it well with our team, and I think they loved it. And I think it gave them the strength and the energy to move forward to the next goal.
I think if you say something to you, you've got to do it. I remember having an old boss that would say, if you got to this or you achieved this, we'd do this, and then you'd achieve it and nothing ever happened. So you've got to be pretty clear. If you set those goals, write them down, make it visible for everyone to see so they can get excited about it, and then make sure you actually do it, because otherwise it'll have the opposite effect on people.
I know that we used to have we set those calendar years, those goals, didn't we, Tam, in our business, and what our target was for our property management and our sales and things like that. So I think then we would have, all of the staff would be clear on what our direction was that we wanted and where we wanted to take the business. So.
And I think also it's looking at, if you do have teams, looking at what teams within your business want more team goals and what want more individual goals, or having put a bit of thought into that, because I know there was times I put individual goals in. I think we did for our property management department at one point, and it didn't really work so well, because they didn't want to compete against each other so much. They preferred a team goal, and that was more beneficial. So sometimes you have to play with these things to work out what's going to work best for your team. And if you're a smaller team, or if it's just you, it's still definitely worthwhile setting these goals and celebrating, and perhaps even more so.
Yeah, you did touch on the property management team or goals. I know that, having said that, when we did the one-on-one goals, I think you get to understand your staff well, and that's a private thing that we did with one-on-one. And I have to say, I enjoyed watching from where they came when they first started, understanding their goals and watching them grow and get to that. Seeing them hit their targets, it allows you to have that really good connection with your team. And
you're talking about also the personal goals that they might have had, buying a property or investing, or buying a new car, etc.
Yeah, but sometimes we had people that wanted to start in certain areas but wanted to end up in, higher up or across in the sales or whatever. So watching them achieve that was great, but also watching them, build their new relationships, and then some of them would get married and have kids. There's lots of, if I take my mind back to the team and what they all achieved, I think, I think it's just connecting well.
Yeah. And celebrating those things, even if they are personal things at times, I think it's nice to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that sort of rounds out our 10 top tips for the end of financial year review. So hopefully everyone's got something out of that. I'm sure you would have. We've got the checklist, as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, which is on our website. You can download that. It's a free checklist. If you go to businessbydesign.net.au EOFY checklist, you can download that checklist. And then the other thing that we have sort of mentioned throughout a couple of times throughout this podcast is we've got a boot camp that we're very excited about, that we're busy building. We're almost finished, but it's an 8-week boot camp covering a number of different topics and in a lot more detail than we are able to cover off in these podcasts. So if you're interested in finding out a bit more about our 8-week Her Business by Design boot camp, go to also our website, businessbydesign.net.au/bootcamp, and you can find all the information on there. And if you've got any questions, you're welcome to tap in, send us a text or give us a call. Our details are on the website, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
You can join our waitlist, Tam. I'm excited for the doors to open. But, we do have some early bird offers as well, so make sure you jump on and check them out as well.
Fantastic.
I've enjoyed being back in the seat, as I like to say, with you, Tam, and with our listeners. We are standing because we've got some fancy desks that I love. Thanks, Ange. But it's something I'm enjoying, and it's growing on me doing the podcast.
Yes,
so
we're going to connect with a few female business owners in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for some really exciting guest speakers. We don't want you to get sick of listening to us, so we thought we'd invite a few other people into the podcast. So that's going to be exciting as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Tam, and thanks to our listeners, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Her Business by Design podcast. We appreciate your support, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, we would be grateful if you could take a moment to leave a review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and share this episode with others who might find it valuable.
To access our free customer journey checklist or sign up for our free 3-day webinar on how to organically grow your business by creating an awesome customer journey, simply visit our website businessbydesign.net.au and follow the links.
We also value your input. If you have any suggestions for future episode topics, please leave a comment, send us an email at hello@businessbydesign.net.au or connect with us on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn.
Thank you again for joining us today. We're Elaine and Tamara and we can't wait to have you back for our next episode.